Sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. When I did it, I was fucked up, fucked up, fucked up, fucked up. I was fucked up, fucked up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video.
I'm not going to call P. Diddy a bitch. 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 Sean Combs is a bitch. Yeah. Sean Combs is a bitch. They bitches too. Sean Combs is a bitch. Yeah. Sean Combs is a bitch. You don't hit women when you're a man. You don't hit women when you're a man. P. Diddy a bitch. 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 Sean Combs is a bitch. Yeah. I'm not going to call P. Diddy a bitch or any other name like that. But I ain't gonna stop anybody else from doing it. I'm not gonna malign them. P. Diddy a bitch. 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 P. Diddy.
All right. Hello, everyone. Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original QueenAShakur show. I'm your host, QueenAShakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so today is the day, honey. Opening statements for Diddy's trial, and we're going to be following it on a regular basis, okay? So with that all being said, everyone please go ahead and hit that like button. All right, let's get ready to get it popping. Okay, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr._A_Shakur. You can also find me on X at DGoddess27. As per usual, if you don't like what the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay, so now before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it, honey, because Lil Rod Rodney Jones, aka Lil Rod, is already standing in line to get inside. He's probably made it in by now. Okay, so I'm gonna go to that video, and then we're gonna go to what the inner city press has been reporting. Okay, so they're supposed to be getting the jurors finished today, and then they're supposed to move on to opening statements, which is supposed to start around 9:30, I do believe. Okay, so let's get into it. Lights up, everyone, please like and share. Let's see who we have in here. All Hell Nah, DJ Big Six, 504 Nola, Pearly, that Crazy Beach Aries, Courtney J, Panther Strike, Cookie is here, G from the land. All right, let's get into it, 504 Nola. Everybody hit that like button. All right, Khalid is here, Gwendolyn, Cottrell, Pearly, Nubian Cutie. All right. Lisa's Real Spill is here. Anthony. Okay. Andrew, I see you, beloved. Okay. So shout out to everybody in the chat, everyone tuned into the Queen. Let's get this party started. Okay. Here we go. And shout out to my moderators putting in work.
Are you just supporting Diddy today? Are you just supporting Diddy today?
Okay. So there y'all can see that's Lil Rod. Now, mind you, Lil Rod is not supposed to be testifying. Okay. He's just there to spectate, I would imagine. All right. So with that all being said, Andrew says, Queen, I can't watch your show because all I get is a spinning circle. Are you serious? Did you try going out and coming back in, beloved? You know that's screw tube. Try to go out and come back in and then see what happens, beloved. Sorry about that. Y'all know how YouTube be hating on the Queen, honey. Okay, so I'm going to go to, Tony says, I have no idea what's going on every other show. Works just not yours. I'm going to have to get in touch with YouTube and see what's going on, honey. I really hate that, beloved. Try going incognito and then go into it. See if that works. Okay, I'm going to go to the updates. Okay, so this is Matthew Russell from Inner City Press. Let's hear what he's talking about. This came out 23 minutes ago.
Press today, Monday, May 12th, 2025. Well, they said it would never come, but here it is. Today, the opening day, for real, of the U.S. versus Sean Combs trial. Jury selection was last week, and it was supposed to have, they were actually supposed to make the picks on Wednesday. Then it got pushed to Friday, which we also covered. And they did discuss videos and witnesses, but they did not pick the jury. Somehow, it was decided to do it this morning before opening argument. So it's supposed to be at 8:30. This is being shot right around 8 a.m. And we'll just have to see. We'll begin with Diddy, and we'll end with Diddy over by the courthouse in just 2 minutes from now, more or less. In any event, it should be. The trial begins after all the hoopla, after all the back and forth, after a request for delay, after a team of, I believe, 9 lawyers has been assembled for Sean Combs. And of course, there's the lineup, the so-called six-pack of white women, as described by Mark Garagos, who's not one of the listed members of the team, but was in the courtroom during jury selection. He's now, I believe, out in California on the Menendez brothers, so it appears. But he was there. After all of this, it began. So we'll get back to that. But there are, of course, other cases, I'm glad to say. One has to do with Robert Menendez, Bob Menendez, Senator Goldbar Bob Menendez. Goldbar Bob Menendez was convicted at trial in this very same courthouse.
Okay, so I'm going to go on up. Okay, so at 8:37, he says Sean Combs has still not been brought into the courtroom. The lawyers are milling around. Brian Steele comes up to AUSA Maureen Comey to shake hands. Agnifilo and Alexandra Shapiro conferring. First step preemptory challenges to 45 prospective jurors. Now, here's where they're going to be striking jurors, and they don't have to give any specific reason as to why they're striking them. Okay, so then 10 minutes ago, he posted, okay, now U.S. versus Sean Combs, final jury selection, then opening arguments. Okay, so Nothing after that. Okay, so let's just wait patiently and see what's going on, honey. Now, while we're waiting, I'm going to show you all this video. It's about 23 minutes long. And while you all watch this, I'll be keeping an eye on his updates, okay? So we're not just sitting here twiddling our thumbs. And this is a special that they did a couple of days ago about Diddy. Let me pull this up. This is what I told you all about last night. Okay, it's called Burden of Proof. This was an ABC special. Okay, so here we go. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to skip past a little bit of this because they have a they play some of Diddy's music at the beginning. So I'm going to try to go past that or mute it. I don't need any copyright issues. Hold on.
I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thank you for streaming with us. It's expected to be one of the most high-profile trials in a very, very long time. The United States of America versus Sean Diddy Combs, one of the biggest names in entertainment. Combs got his start in music, but eventually became a mogul in the worlds of fashion, liquor, and even reality TV. He was a common sight on red carpets and seen by many as a man who was in control, the master of his own fate. But now his future will be decided by a jury as he faces allegations of using his power and wealth to sexually abuse, coerce, and exploit alleged victims. He's pleading not guilty. Behind him, a stacked defense team made up of powerhouse attorneys linked to other high-profile cases. On the other side, an all-female prosecution team setting out to convince the jury Combs abused victims and forced them into drug-fueled sexual orgies he called freak-offs, and then allegedly threatened them into silence. We're going to take a deeper look at the jury selection process and how impactful it could be during this case. So many are wondering, how do you find an impartial jury for someone so famous? But before we go there, we want to remind you of the key events that brought us to where we are today, including that disturbing surveillance video first obtained by CNN that shows Combs kicking and dragging then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura at a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. The video surfaced just months before his arrest last year. We'll also break down the 5-count indictment that includes racketeering conspiracy, the most serious charge Combs faces. He has denied all allegations. If convicted, the once seemingly unstoppable rapper and record producer faces what amounts to be a life behind bars after he rejected a plea deal, leaving his fate in the hands of 12 strangers. So what is the burden of proof in the case against Diddy? Here's ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky.
For decades, and in pop culture. Now, the self-proclaimed bad boy for life is facing the chance of life in prison as he goes on trial in New York on charges of sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and interstate transportation for prostitution.
Probably one of the most famous people in the world. How does that inform his trial?
If you have been anywhere but under a rock in the last 2 to 3 decades or so, you either know his work directly or indirectly. And a lot of people have a difficulty of separating art from the person. And so will there be, to some degree, a connection of that for people that will be hard to separate? Absolutely.
Combs has pleaded not guilty.
He's going to fight this with all of his energy and all of his might.
Federal authorities began investigating Combs after his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, brought a civil lawsuit against him. Combs settled one day after the lawsuit was filed with no admission of guilt. Ventura claimed in the lawsuit that Combs physically, sexually, and emotionally abused her during their on and off relationship. Ventura is expected to be a key witness for the prosecution.
Is Cassie Ventura the star witness?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why I say that is, you take Cassie Ventura's civil lawsuit. You take this federal indictment and you see so much overlap between the two of them. I think it's Cassie.
The trial will also include testimony from 3 other alleged victims who have not been identified. 2 of those victims will be allowed to keep their identities concealed during trial. Combs is accused of abusing, threatening, and coercing the victims to participate in elaborate, drug-fueled orgies with male prostitutes that he called freak-offs.
He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims.
From what we know, the defense strategy is Sean Combs was a swinger, and bringing a third party or a fourth party or extra people into the bedroom in a consensual relationship is no crime.
Yeah, and I think that's the move. When you separate white parties from freak-offs, when you separate criminality from consensual sex that might not be as mainstream as especially the SDNY is, you take Sean Combs, he is in no way, shape, or form the average person in anything. And so why should the act that so many people do between consenting adults be as average or normal for him?
So then is the prosecution's job as simple as, seriously?
Okay, so let me answer Gwendolyn's question because that's a good question. Queen, who do you think will make the opening statement? Mark Agnifilo? I've been saying his name so wrong. It's hard to say it right now. Okay, Mark Agnifilo or Brian Steele? I'm going to say Mark Agnifilo because he's the lead attorney. Okay, he's the lead attorney on the defense team. So it will likely be him. But as I told you all days ago, I think that it's a good idea. I don't know how they're going to do this, but when they start cross-examining Cassie, they need to let either Nicole, Teeny, or Alexandra do that. I feel like Cassie needs to be examined by a woman because a man may come across too harshly or may appear as if he's badgering the witness when they start going in on her about her participation and complicity in some of the things that Diddy was doing. That's just my opinion.
I mean, seriously, and listen to them. They didn't sign up for this. Who would sign up for this? Look at the evidence, look at the statements, look at the pictures if they have them. Look at the text messages in close in time about them describing these events.
Federal officers say they found what they believe is evidence of the so-called freak-offs when they raided 2 of Combs' homes last year, including drugs and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Authorities say they also found firearms with defaced serial numbers.
There were these raids of his homes in Miami and in Los Angeles. There were guns drawn. Does any of that matter at trial? Or is just the result of all of that, the evidence that was collected, what matters?
When you tell, I think, the average person or juror that DHS or law enforcement showed up to Diddy's home with like Kevlar and body armor, I think the average person thinks, well, that's a really bad person. And so whether people want to admit it or not, they're going to infer criminality just based on how law enforcement operated in that. But the tangible should be, to your point, what was recovered.
The defense has tried to keep some of the evidence out, including this surveillance video first obtained by CNN that shows Combs kicking and dragging Ventura in a Los Angeles hotel. Combs' attorneys argued the video had been manipulated, a claim CNN. When he's not in court, Combs is incarcerated at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a far cry from the lavish waterfront mansions Combs once called home.
Sean Combs was denied bail because prosecutors said he intimidated witnesses. Several judges agreed that part of his MO, as prosecutors laid it out, was to intimidate the people into silence. Is that why he's incarcerated?
He's in MDC. He allegedly got a cell phone at some point in time. He was using another inmate's, let's call it for lack of a better term, like a serial number, where you can dial in and use their number so you can't detect whether or not Sean Combs is using that phone or someone else. And it was that he had almost a campaign where he's trying to influence individuals. And I think all of that, the government said, he can't even follow the rules when he's incarcerated. What rules can we create that when he is out on some amount of bond or bail, that he'll follow those rules?
The jury is expected to be finalized Monday, with the lawyers closing in on 12 jurors and 6 alternates who will ultimately decide if the mogul who launched major music careers, a fashion brand, and liquor labels will face the possibility of a life behind bars.
Let's bring in Aaron Katersky. Aaron's been on this case since day one. He's going to be inside the courtroom every day for this trial. Right now, he is outside the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Aaron, bring us up to speed on this process. How big was this jury pool, and how will they choose who will decide this case?
There are potentially hundreds of prospective jurors who were sent written questionnaires to fill out. And at bottom, like any case, Eva, the main question is, can you be fair? Can you be impartial? Can you set aside any of your perceptions, either about the case or the defendant, and come to court with an open mind and decide strictly on the evidence? But Eva, this is Sean Combs. So there were some rather unique questions, like what kind of music do you listen to? And a few of the prospective jurors said they liked hip hop from the 1990s when Combs was rising to fame and becoming the impresario that he was. And then there were other questions about the nature of the allegations. Can you sit through a potentially 2-month trial and talk about sexually explicit things with fellow jurors when it comes time to deliberate? And there was one woman who said that she would faint if made to discuss those things. And she recalled an episode when something sexual came up in junior high school and she blacked out. She was excused from the jury pool. So there are unique challenges because of who Combs is and what the allegations are.
People are always really fascinated by jury selections. So I'm curious, you mentioned some of those questions, but what do they ask these people to determine who gets to stay and who goes?
Well, they want to know primarily, can you be fair and put things out of your mind? And look, who hasn't heard of Sean Combs? It seemed nearly every prospective juror seemed to know one of the high-profile names that may come up, knew of Combs's career, whether in music or in reality television, plenty of Making the Band viewers in the jury pool. And others were asked about what they heard of the case. And many said they had seen the video of Combs and Cassie in that Los Angeles hotel, but they pledged, Eva, they would put it out of their mind if they advanced through the jury process.
Aaron Katersky for us there. Thank you so much, Aaron. Let's bring in ABC News contributor Brian Buckmeyer. Brian, you have also been in court this week alongside Aaron. Okay, so not only do we have a celebrity defendant, but he has a pretty high-profile defense team, names that people know. Walk us through who's on his team.
So first and foremost, we have Mark Agnifilo. He is what we would call the first seat or the attorney in the case. But from my understanding, this is truly a team. It's hard to say which one is the more important one than the other. And when you actually watch them in court, it is very much a collaborative process. From there, we have Tini Garagos, and you might hear Garagos and think, who is that? That's Mark Garagos' daughter. She and Mark are on the same firm. We also have Alexandra Spiro. She is an appellate attorney who is not only participating in the trial itself, but also helping to make sure that if there are appellate issues, if Sean Combs is convicted, what may happen in terms of arguments down the road. We also saw a very other high-profile attorney by the name of Brian Steele. People are going to remember him from Young Thug's defense. He was the lead attorney in that case that didn't get the case dismissed, but a very, very favorable resolution. And then you have some, I guess, if you're not in the legal field, such as myself, some lesser known but local talent as well. Xavier Donaldson is another defense attorney who's very strong within the Brooklyn and New York defense community and the Southern District of New York. And then I think in total you have about 7 or so other attorneys and some jury consultants as well helping out in Sean Combs' case.
This is a big team.
Yeah. Yes and no. I always kind of, when people ask me that question, I say, you may see 7 defense attorneys or 6 attorneys, whatever it may be at the table. But when you compare it to the government on the other side, who has about 5 attorneys, they also have the entire office of the Southern District of New York. So their team is small compared to that of the government.
Let's talk about the government's team here. It's an all-female team for the prosecution. Is this a strategy or just coincidence here?
I mean, I can't really look into my magic globe, so to speak, and speak for the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, but I don't think you make this mistake. I don't think this is something that just happened, so to speak. This is a case that, by and large, is talking about freak-offs. By and large, it is talking about a male defendant who is accused of sexually assaulting and trafficking and transportation for the purpose of prostitution, both male and female. So I think there is a strength in having women talk about these cases, not only for direct examination, because they will be initially questioning these individuals, and those potential and alleged victims may be more comfortable in those kind of conversations. conversations. But I don't think it's a mistake. It could be part of a strategy.
Brian Buckmeyer, don't go anywhere. We're going to be asking some more questions. Still ahead, the science behind picking the jury who will determine Diddy's fate. Our expert panel will break it down. While eyes are on the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs, here's a quick look at the other big court cases we're following. Testimony from first responders and experts has been the focal point this week in the Karen Reed murder retrial. The Massachusetts woman is accused of killing her boyfriend, a Boston police officer, by hitting him with her SUV and leaving him to die in 2022. Her attorneys argue the investigation was riddled with errors and claim witnesses colluded on their narrative about the officer's death. Reed has pleaded not guilty. A jury found 3 former Memphis cops not guilty on state charges in the beating death of Tyree Nichols. 2 other former officers previously agreed to plead guilty to state charges. The defense argued Nichols was actively resisting arrest and that their use of force followed department policy. The 3 officers already face years in prison after being convicted of federal charges last year. Back now to the government's case against hip-hop mogul Sean Combs. Right now, I'm joined again by ABC News contributor Brian Buckmeyer, along with Dr. Eric Rudish, managing partner and senior litigation consultant at Blueprint Trial Consulting. He also studies juror behavior here in New York. Okay, Eric, we have to start with you. You're not involved in this case, but you are a jury expert of sorts. There is some science behind choosing a juror. Break this down for us. I'm fascinated.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot that goes into selecting a jury well before trial. So jury consultants typically conduct mock trial exercises or other jury research exercises to determine what are the characteristics of jurors that you want, and more importantly, whom you don't want to be on the jury. So based on that research, basically you're testing your case like a focus group in front of jurors, and you're determining who are the individuals who are going to be most receptive to your product, in this situation, your case. So based on that, you're looking for certain characteristics of jurors that you're going to then use to guide you when you're selecting your jury.
So you kind of have a profile of what you're looking for.
That's exactly. You create a jury profile based on the research that you conduct well before trial.
Brian, let's talk about this jury questionnaire. We've heard a lot about it. The questions, for example, take the video showing Cassie being kicked and punched, which was obtained by CNN. What happens if someone's already seen that video?
So Eric is the science behind it. I try to follow guidance if I ever get the privilege of working with someone with him. But what you do is you take something like the video, right? And it's out there. You have to deal with it in some way, shape, or form. So you put it in a question as a questionnaire. And what we're seeing in the court here is if people say, yes, I've seen it, then there's a follow-up question. And it's not so much about, did you see this evidence? Okay, well, you must be off the case. No, there are follow-up questions. And we're looking both the verbal responses they give, and in my opinion, also the physical reaction as to how they describe something, or even the way in which they describe it. If you see someone kind of scowl and say, yeah, I saw that video, oh, I can put it aside. Well, yeah, the words may say one thing, but the facial reaction says another thing. You might hear someone say, yes, I saw the video. And because of the video, I think that Sean Combs is X, Y, and Z. And the judge will follow up and say, okay, we understand you have that opinion, but can you put that aside and only listen to the evidence as presented to you and judge his guilt or innocence based on that? If a person says no, they're out for cause. The person says yes, and both sides can sometimes begrudgingly agree to let that person move on to the next round. They will move on to the next round, and ultimately defense or government may choose to eliminate them for another reason other than for cause.
So you really need to get an impartial jury. So play defense attorney for me here. What are the red flags? What makes you hesitate on a person?
So it's really case by case. I think Eric used a perfect word earlier. It's bespoke in terms of how you're trying to find that person. And so you're looking at a case like this where you say, have you or anyone you've known been a victim of sexual assault? Depending on the answer and how they give that answer and how the judge instructs them as to something like, I'm very sorry that this happened to you some 2 years ago, 20 years ago, but do you understand that that person is different than Sean Combs, who's being accused of a similar crime, what it may be? when someone's answering that question, I'm looking and kind of gauging as to how they're responding to that body language, what they're saying. And based on that, I'm making either the legal arguments or just a personal choice to have them not be on that case because I'm eliminating them, not necessarily picking them.
Eric, I mean, this is not a normal trial. Everyone knows who Sean Diddy Combs is. He's super famous here, right? How does that impact a juror and the decisions that they make?
So one of the key questions on the questionnaire is what opinions that they have of Sean Combs. Have they formed any opinions about this particular case? Have they seen the Cassie video, for example? So we all know that pretty much everyone knows who Sean Combs or Puff Daddy or P. Diddy is, but it's, what do they know about him? What opinions have they formed? And ultimately, can they be fair and impartial? And then it's not only what they write on their questionnaire and what they say during voir dire, but how they say it. So do they have a negative impression just based on how they're responding, or do they look like they could be fair and impartial?
Eric Rudish, Brian Buckmeyer, so much interest in this jury for sure. Thank you so much for both being here. Coming up, what happens when a cultural icon goes to trial? The delicate balancing act of trying celebrities when we come back. From music to fashion to reality TV, Diddy's star power in pop culture has been clear as he's built his image over several decades. Now, his legacy as a famous entertainment mogul is front and center as his sex trafficking trial moves forward. Kelly Carter covers entertainment and pop culture for us. Kelly, thank you so much for being here. We are no doubt going to hear more about those famous, extravagant parties Diddy was known for throwing. How did those events shape his reputation?
Absolutely. These events, we're not just talking about the white parties. We're talking about, quite frankly, any party that Sean Combs extended an invitation to attracted the A-list of the A-list, and if you got that invitation, you got like a Willy Wonka golden ticket to an experience, to a party, a chance to interface and rub shoulders and hobnob with some of the biggest in business and most certainly the biggest in entertainment and popular culture. Colossal.
He's pleaded not guilty, but if Sean Combs is convicted of these charges, he could be looking at decades in federal prison. Based on what we've seen with other celebrities, what's the bigger possible impact here?
I think so much of it remains to be seen. The thing that is so loud to me is the silence, essentially, of the entire industry. And I think that's because everyone tends to be taking a wait and see attitude for the most part. We still don't know who all ultimately might even show up in court, in support or maybe not in support of Sean Combs. And we don't know whose names we're going to hear ultimately called. We've heard a couple of names so far in the jury selection of A-list names that have been mentioned, but we don't know ultimately who else will be called. So I think that ultimately can have a really big cultural impact, and let's think about, we've seen this before. We've seen these larger than life celebrities like Michael Jackson or O.J. Simpson, men who have touched so many different components of pop culture in the world of sports and music, film, and so on, and how it's ultimately affected pop culture, their stature in pop culture, and certainly the worlds that they exist around and inside of. And so, we'll see what ultimately happens with Sean Combs, but I tell you this, everybody is paying attention to it. That is for sure.
Kelly Carter, thank you for your insight. We appreciate you. And thank you for joining us for the first episode of Burden of Proof, the case against Diddy. We'll be back with new episodes every day of the trial. As soon as opening statements begin, we'll be bringing you the latest from the courtroom, plus live analysis from experts and contributors. The show streams right here on ABC.
Okay, so that was kind of interesting. Okay, so no updates as of yet. Still waiting to see what's going on. Okay, so let me pull up this article for you all. Hold on. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I wonder if they brought Diddy in yet. Now, I'm keeping tabs on two different channels, just so you all know. so we don't miss anything. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Hold on just a second so we can check this out, see what they got going on here.
Hi, everyone. Kimberly Richardson here in Lower Manhattan, outside of the federal courthouse, where today we are expecting to hear opening arguments in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. I want to show you what's going on here. This right here is a line of people. It goes all the way back there. It's a mix of the public and press who are waiting to get into the courthouse. There will be a main courtroom where the defendant, Combs, will be seated, as well as several overflow rooms. This is first come, first served. It's not by any order, per se. What we do expect to happen this morning, there are 43 potential jurors that will be here today. Attorneys will move rather quickly. That's what we're expecting from 8:30 to 9:30 this morning to eliminate the folks they don't want in the jury pool, so-called strikes. After that happens, the goal is to get the jury down to 12 jurors and 6 alternates. Then opening arguments expected to begin at 9:30 this morning, and we will have a full day of testimony, several witnesses for the prosecution, possibly Diddy's former girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura. She is the prosecution's star witness. We will hear a lot from her in terms of their relationship over all of those years. Another key piece of evidence that the defense did try to strike and eliminate from this trial is that infamous 2016 video from inside that Los Angeles hotel where you see Combs kicking, punching, hitting Ventura. This case has so many layers to it. One of the more unfortunate things, Sean Diddy Combs at one point was on a fast track to becoming a billionaire. He was a celebrated producer, artist, entrepreneur, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And it has boiled down to all of this when he was arrested inside a Manhattan hotel. Of course, this trial is expected to last about 2 months, roughly 8 weeks. If found guilty, Combs could spend the rest of his life in prison. We will be here all day, all week, and throughout the remainder of this trial. Hi, everyone. Kimberly Richardson here in Lower Manhattan, outside of the federal courthouse, where today we are expecting to hear opening arguments in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. I want to
All right, so still waiting for those latest updates. So they say, I'm reading this article, they say Combs' defense attorneys to argue domestic violence, not coercion. We already know that much. Sean Combs may have committed domestic violence in his relationships with women, but his conduct did not tip into coercion. This is what the defense attorneys are prepared to argue when opening statements and witness testimony began Monday in the trafficking and racketeering trial. Defense lawyers previewed argument on Friday as they discussed their cross-examination of Cassie. Now, that's interesting because I wonder how they're going to go about that, as I told you. One of the women federal prosecutors said Combs coerced into SEX marathons, known as freak-offs, not marathons. They said, we're going to take the position that there was mutual violence in the relationship. This is what Mark Agnifilo said. We're probably going to call it domestic violence. Agnifilo said it would cause Combs to think that while violence was part of the relationship, it wasn't coercing her to do anything. That's what they say. Now, the final stage of jury selection for the racketeering and S-trafficking trial of the hip-hop mogul is set for today, right before opening arguments begin. And this is when they're going to go ahead with the jury selection, with the preemptive strikes and all of that. And so anyway, honey, it's about to be popping in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to go back to outside of the courtroom. Or the courthouse. Anybody have any questions, comments, or snide remarks? Trip and Travel says, prove me wrong because I only see black males. Well, you know, that's a good point, beloved, because at the end of the day, I told you all last week that Mark Jeffries, who's accused of the same things as Diddy, okay, Mike Jeffries from the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, he's just getting away with it because they're saying that he's got dementia and he's not competent to stand trial. I find it all very interesting. Also, he was given a bail and Diddy wasn't, when they're both equally as nefarious as far as I'm concerned. Let me say allegedly, okay? So yeah, I do think that race absolutely plays a part, okay? We didn't see them making all this big to-do out of anybody else's trial, not even Peter Nygaard's, who was clearly nefarious, okay? Trying to buy black women's DNA and all kind of stuff, okay? So that all being said, we know what it is. Trip and Travel says, not a sacrificial lamb like Epstein, who they deleted. Either they got rid of him or sent him somewhere to live out his life and then have us all thinking that he's deceased. Okay, because you never know. Panther Strike said, yes, Queen, absolutely. I hate Diddy, but I want to see a fair trial. Exactly, okay? Exactly. Woodland says, Queen, how can they have one man on RICO? Well, there was a lawyer who spoke about that the other day. He said, usually the people that are the co-conspirators in the case, well, that's why they charge him. That's why they charge him with conspiracy. And basically they don't have to charge the other people. And here's the thing. The other people that were acting as Diddy's co-conspirators, I'm sure those people have all flipped on him and decided to give their testimony against Diddy. So therefore, they're not going to be charged. Okay, they all probably flipped on him to keep themselves out of trouble. And let's not forget, they did the same thing to R. Kelly. Okay, they charged R. Kelly with a RICO too. Honey, at the end of the day, the law works the way they want it to work. Okay, that's how that goes. I mean, just look at all the stuff Trump's doing. If you ask me, Trump is no better than Diddy. Wasn't he accused of raping a teenager? Okay, yeah, he was. All right. I mean, there are so many stories about him. Then he got 34 convictions and still sit up in the White House. So we know how the rules go. However they say. Okay, so we're still waiting. I'm going to put on some music while I keep checking for these updates. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you to Vince. Another Queen Amadaya production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth truth's in the power. It's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Amadaya production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power. It's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle. In the
Prosecutors and Combs' lawyers are set to each deliver their first pitch to jurors after a 12-person panel, plus 6 alternates are finalized and sworn in this morning. The feds are then expected to call their first witnesses, including their star witness, R&B singer and Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie, possibly as soon as Monday afternoon. That's interesting because I really didn't think Cassie was going to testify today, but she may be called in to testify as early as this afternoon. So please pay attention. Cassie, whose full name is Cassandra Ventura, is expected to testify about her nightmarish experiences dating the powerful music producer on and off for more than a decade. You know, I'm pretty sure the defense is going to bring that up too, that she dated him on and off, but she continued to come back. Okay. Ventura allegedly is in a quickly settled 2023 lawsuit that Combs forced her to claim that Combs forced her to have sex with male escorts while he filmed the encounters, and that he blew up Kid Cudi's car in a jealous rage after learning that the musician was romantically interested in her. Combs forced Ventura to take illegal substances before the sexual escapades, filmed the episodes, and then threatened to release the footage if Ventura did not comply with his commands or his demands. An escort and another minor witness will testify before Ventura, according to prosecutors. Now, listen, here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention, because when they say a minor witness, I initially thought they were talking about someone who claimed to be a minor when something happened to them as it pertains to Diddy. But no, when they say minor witness, that's just a witness who isn't like, really, you know, how can I put this? Someone that's just like, doesn't have a whole lot to say. Okay. Like Cassie, for example, is the star witness. Okay. The victims are big deals, you know, because they actually have accusations against Diddy. But a minor witness is somebody whose testimony isn't as relevant as the star witness or the victims. Okay, that's basically what they're trying to say. They're just like giving minor testimony. Okay, because initially I thought they were talking about, I'm like, wait a minute, they didn't say anything about minors in the indictments. But so that's what they're talking about. Okay, the Me and You singer, dancer, and model will also walk jurors through shocking footage of Combs punching and kicking her while wearing just a towel in a disturbing attack at a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. She's expected to be on the stand for several days. Combs has pleaded not guilty to the bombshell charges, and lawyers for the rapper plan to argue that the freak-offs were consensual and that Diddy was admittedly kinky, but not a criminal. Okay. We'll see how that works for them. Okay, so they'll also admit to jurors that Combs physically abused Ventura, but will claim that Ventura was violent with him as well. I just don't think that's going to go over so good, because even if she was violent with him, Diddy is still a man much more dominant and powerful than her. Not to mention in the video, we see that Cassie's not even fighting back. She's literally lying there like a rag doll and just taking the punchings and the kicks. Okay, they said, we're going to take the position that there was mutual violence in the relationship. There was hitting on both sides. Combs has been locked up in jail in Brooklyn since September of 2024. He could face life in prison if convicted on the charges. Okay, let's see if we got any updates here. Nope, not yet. Honey, this is going to be juicy. I cannot believe Cassie's going to testify today. I am here for it. How about y'all? How about y'all? Okay. Sean Diddy Combs trial live updates. Let me see here what they're talking about. Okay, so this came out a few hours ago. Listen to this. They say feds say that Sean Diddy Combs' case is in danger as the key witness remains AWOL on the eve of the trial. Okay, so this came out yesterday. I thought it looked like it said 9 hours ago. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, hours before opening statements in Sean Diddy Combs' trafficking trial are set to start, before a yet-to-be-seated jury, the defense is poised to take advantage of a self-wound of sorts by the prosecution. Now, as of Sunday night, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York has yet to reestablish contact with a key witness against the Bad Boys founder, I hear. Only a few weeks ago, Victim 3, as she is called in the indictment against Combs, had pledged to testify in the criminal trial that will likely see the plea deal rejecting Grammy-winning defendant in prison for the rest of his life if found guilty. Now, Victim 3, according to court filings, would have detailed for the court and the jury just how Diddy allegedly sexually exploited her. Now, embarrassingly, nowhere to be found, they say. Okay, the non-New York City-based Victim 3 may provide Combs' legal team with the tools to bring the case to a standstill, at least for now. Expected before Judge Aaron Subramanian at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to solidify the jury and hear an update on Victim 3 from the feds. The defense is planning to ask for a mistrial. Are y'all listening? They're planning to ask for a mistrial or seek a delay at the start of the trial, according to sources. Now, contacted earlier Sunday about the status of Victim 3 and the possible outcomes if she doesn't testify, the Southern District of New York declined to comment. So law enforcement sources say that they believe Victim 3 has gone dark out of fears for her safety, but would not give any specifics. The defense did not respond to requests for comment on the likelihood that Victim 3 will not be participating in the trial and what that could mean. Now, predicted to last 8 weeks, the criminal trial of the much-accused Diddy follows his arrest last September on the charges. Outside the recently spruced up Lower Manhattan Federal Courthouse, around a dozen people were already waiting in line Sunday evening ahead of the trial's Monday start. So people were literally waiting outside since yesterday. And then also, there was a little Caucasian lady out there in line talking trash about, oh, nobody's going to get my spot. I'll fight, scratch, kick, and claw, do whatever I need. Because people are like trying to cut people in line and all kinds of stuff. They've got people out there, according to my sources, they had people out there in the line, or they had people paying people. Some of the reporters, supposedly the journalists, had people holding spots for them in line. Okay, so they can get there whenever. They had people there from like the night before, and then they'd show up this morning. Okay, this is what they were doing last week and this morning, for what I was told. Now, across the street, and here's the thing, they tried to spruce it up because they had the little stuff in front of the courthouse. I don't know what you call them, like those poles, those barriers in front of the courthouse. They had those painted, trying to look all nice and spruced up. I don't know what the point of that was, but okay. So they say across the street, some TV crew equipment was already in place, as were designated spots for outlets like the AB or the AP and the BBC, local channels, and cable newsers. One of the big attractions is Combs' former longtime girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, aka Victim 1, who is expected to testify under her own name as early as Monday if the trial goes forward. Now heavily pregnant with her and husband Alex Fine's third child, Ventura was paid off in the tens of millions in late 2023 to quickly drop her own assault and abuse civil suit against Combs. The singer was thrust back into the spotlight in spring of 2024 when CNN obtained and broadcast a seemingly damning and now defense disputed 2016 hotel video. If victim 3 is a no-show for the feds, as it seems that she will indeed be, the thrust of the defense's argument in both its mistrial and delay request Monday morning will be that the rules of the game have changed, with one of 4 main witnesses alleging rape and other sordid S crimes by Combs out of the picture. One of the practical consequences of that change is that the defense will be required to reorientate its strategy for It's All About the Benjamin's client, and that doesn't happen overnight. Now, they say whether or not the time-conscious judge, Subramaniam, goes for it will be determined early tomorrow, okay, at the Daniel Patrick Monahan courthouse. Here's the thing. The judge wants this to be wrapped up and over with by July the 4th. Apparently, he has plans for the holidays, I guess, but he did say that he wants this trial over with by July the 4th, okay? I didn't know that judges could put in requests for when they want the trial to be done. But anyway, yet unless victim 3 shows up or a definitive date for her testimony is established, the defense has a win of sorts in their pocket either way. Okay, please pay attention. So with that all being said, they say if the judge goes to a mistrial or a postponement, the win is obvious. There will be a trial starting this week if Judge Subramaniam says the victim 1, which is Ventura, and 2 other witnesses will be testifying along with the newly introduced victim 5, and that should suffice. Even if that is the outcome, then circumstances will have planted the seeds for a near certain fast appeal if the jury's verdict doesn't go in Combs' favor. Didn't I tell y'all? We already knew that was coming. Okay, please pay attention. Diddy's definitely going to appeal this if he loses, and they've already been gathering their receipts. Okay, TC Dan said, yes, judges can state when they desire to have the trial over with. I've seen other cases on YouTube channels, etc., where the judge mentions that. Well, I mean, they can mention it, but that's not really supposed to be the rule of law. It's all I'm saying. If it isn't wrapped up when they want it to, then what are they going to do? Hold the people in contempt? Okay, Trip and Travel says most jobs do the exact same thing to all employees, using power, money, threats, and influence to punish you for any and all infractions or insubordination. Andrew says Allie Carter's gone missing. Witness 3 has gone missing. P. Diddy's goons raided Allie Carter's house. What happened to Allie Carter? I don't think Diddy would be even worried about Allie Carter, because Allie Carter is just a liar who lies. You can't believe anything she says. If Allie Carter knew all those things that she claims to know, how come she never went to the police? How come there's never been a police report filed? All she ever showed us was an affidavit of truth that she wrote up herself with a bunch of misspellings and all that. So I don't believe anything that young lady says. I just don't. Her or her, whatever you want to call that lady, Shelly, that's supposed to be her mom now or whatever. Yeah, I don't believe anything they say. She's already been proven a liar in the past. Okay, so here's the next update. They say, okay, now this is, hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the same one. That's not a new update. Hold on, let me scroll up here. Okay, here we go. They say 9:26 a.m. Combs' lawyer, Agnifilo, and prosecutor Maureen Comey are the ones in with Judge Subramaniam, presumably doing the preemptory strikes to the jury pool. Okay, so in New York State Court. This is all done in public in the courtroom on the record. Wait for the announcement of jurors. All right, here we go. So they're starting with the preemptory strikes already. This is about to get real, folks. Sheila said never did believe her. Yeah, you can't believe Allie Carter, please. First thing we should all be wondering about is if somebody really knew all those things, you didn't go to the police. You're just riding around in your car talking about it on social media. Like, girl, get out of here. Okay, I'm sorry. Make it make sense. Look at Bubba standing outside, waiting and watching. Trippin says prosecution has not turned over any real chargeable evidence to defense yet. James said, this trial is everywhere. I just hope evidence is proven on both sides. Yeah, me too, beloved. But you know, the thing about it is there is no way to get an impartial jury, in my opinion, because like they said in that broadcast, everybody has literally seen and heard about this case, and everybody has seen that video too. Okay, that's just the facts. Gwendolyn said Bubba can't catch nobody. Not if he has to chase him. I sure don't think he can. Okay, I'm still looking for updates. Okay, so let's go to this report from CBS. I'm going to send this to my email so we can check this out while we wait. Andrew says we will see in the next 8 weeks. Okay. D Major Scaler said biggest trial since Derek Chauvin. Since OJ. Okay. This is the biggest trial since OJ, honey. This is going to be the trial of the century. No doubt about it. This has been highly anticipated. Speaking of Derek Chauvin, isn't Trump thinking about pardoning him? At least that's what I've been reading. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. We might as well tune in and see what's going on here. And then I'll go back to look for the updates.
Up today in the racketeering and sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. 12 jurors and 6 alternates will be sworn in ahead of opening statements. Combs is accused of using his fame and power to sexually abuse more women for more than 2 decades. One of the first witnesses to take the stand is expected to be an alleged victim, but their identity has not been released. Combs has pleaded not guilty.
And there's active construction taking place on one of the runways, which is expected to wrap up in mid-June. Reporting here from Newark Airport, Elijah Westbrook, CBS News, New York.
Today, NJ Transit and its engineers will meet with
Okay, so much for that. I thought they really were going to tell us something, honey. Okay, still no updates. Okay, so it looks like I have some live updates. Let's talk about it. Okay, so 4 minutes ago, they say AUSA Comey says we strike juror 220. Ignifilo says we strike 25. Comey says, I believe he was supposed to strike in the alternative. Ignifilo says, give me 1 second. Then he confers with Nicole Westmoreland. And then says 218. Comey says we strike 324. Ignifilo says we strike 240. Comey says we strike 281. Ignifilo says 1 moment. All right, they're striking these jurors and they're going about it pretty quickly. It looks like 7 minutes ago, AUSA Comey says we strike 81. Ignifilo strikes 149 and 20. Comey strikes 161. Ignifilo strikes 22 and 84. The defense was only supposed to strike 1 in this round. This is what Comey argues. They were only supposed to strike 1, but they struck 2, 22 and 84. So Ignifilo says, so we strike only, so we strike only 22 then. Comey says we strike 163. Ignifilo says we strike 84. I don't know why she made a big deal because all he's going to do is come back and strike them anyway. So that's what's going on. Looks like they're going through this pretty quickly. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to go to Good Morning America and see what they're talking about. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
Expected this morning at Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial. First, they have to finish seating a jury. Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursi tracking the case. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning to you, George. A lot of celebrities roll with an entourage. Federal prosecutors say Sean Combs and the people around him operated as a criminal enterprise with a goal of coercing women into sex. And we're about to hear how they'll make the case. This morning, opening statements in the racketeering and sex trafficking trial of Sean Combs.
If you use my approach, you can dock both.
The Bad Boy Records founder and music mogul is accused of sex marathons. Combs has pleaded not guilty to the charges and says the sex was consensual, but for 20 years, prosecutors say he trafficked women and exerted his will by controlling their careers, leveraging financial support, and using intimidation and violence. Combs is seen kicking and dragging then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in 2016 hotel security footage obtained by CNN. Prosecutors plan to introduce as many as 5 different versions of the video, and Cassie is expected to be among the first witnesses. Combs giving Ventura this shout-out while accepting his 2022 BET Lifetime Achievement Award.
I got to give a special thank you to the people that was really like there for me. Cassie for holding me down in the dark times. Love.
The defense concedes violence was part of their relationship, but argues it's not coercing her to do anything. Prosecutors say Cassie and at least 2 other women were forced into elaborate and produced sex performances with male prostitutes called freak-offs that Combs recorded as blackmail. Some of the potential jurors said the subject matter was too much, and the judge feared others would back out if they had the weekend to think about it. So the lawyers will finalize the 12 jurors and 6 alternates this morning.
What you could see is that some jurors, having thought about it over the weekend, will come in and say, you know what, Judge, I thought I could do this. I really can't do this, and I want out. But it's a lot better that they do that today before they're sworn as jurors than take on something that they're really not prepared to handle.
Combs has said he's a little nervous. If convicted, he faces decades in prison. His former attorney, Mark Garrigo, spoke in support of Combs on his Two Angry Men podcast, days after the judge admonished him for disparaging the all-female team of prosecutors.
I have frequently talked with Sean. I consider Sean a friend, and just because he's facing a very, very serious charges, I'm not going to abandon Sean.
The public line to get into court actually stretches down the block and around the corner, guys. One guy near the front of the line offered to scalp his seat for $350. Once the jury is selected, instructed, and sworn, opening statements will begin in the most anticipated trial of the year. Guys?
Wow, $350 for a seat there. Okay, Aaron, thanks very much. You can see the latest in the trial every day at 5:30 Eastern on Burden of Proof. That's on ABC News Live.
Okay, so still no updates, beloveds. They have no jurisdiction over any matter they are unlawfully prosecuted in an administration of his estate. I think if I was witness number 3, I would have run for my life too. Okay. I don't think that's actually what it is. I think that witness number 3 may still have a soft spot for Diddy, not to mention some other things. Roberta says Diddy's lawyers raised an observation that the prosecutor struck 7 of 9 black jurors. Really? Okay, so here's the next update. They say AUSA Comey, we struck 163, I believe, for cause due to English proficiency, and he had a relative who shot a police officer. Wow. Among the alternates, we barred a person who went to Mr. Combs' high school. The next one, 324, has sleep apnea. Okay, then AUSA Comey says he also called the police a-holes. We struck him. And 281, she said victims can catch a case and jump on a bandwagon. We think she has an agenda. These easily clear Batson's bar. Okay. You all know what's interesting is the judge on this case, Judge Arun Subramanian, has only been on the bench for about 2 years. He was nominated by former President Joe Biden and confirmed in a 59-23 U.S. Senate vote. They say New York Senator Chuck Schumer originally recommended Subramanian to Biden and said in his Senate hearing, introduction that our courts need more people like Aaron Subramanian. Schumer also said Subramanian is the son of Indian immigrants and is the first South Asian judge in the Southern District of New York. During jury selection, he joked around with lawyers and jurors, comparing one document's length to that of The Lord of the Rings. Before his nomination in 2022, he had a private law practice. Earlier in his career, he also clerked for the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Outside the courthouse this morning, we heard from Holly Baird, a representative for Diddy. Baird said that the whole family will be there to support him today, and that Diddy was feeling upbeat and ready for his side of the story to be told. Sean Diddy Combs is one of the most successful music moguls in the U.S. He had many aliases, including Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Love, and Brother Love at some point or another. His career spanned decades, from launching the careers of Notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige in the 90s to a Grammy nomination for a solo album in 2023. I was in court. This is what a reporter says. I was in court as Judge Aaron Subramanian weeded through juror after juror, trying to find the 12 that will eventually decide Combs' his trial. What we learned was that basically every juror had some familiarity with the case via media coverage or social media posts. Well, that's to be expected. Okay, there's no way to get around that. Like I said, it's highly publicized, and Diddy is very high profile. Okay, thank you for your contribution to the channel, Delmonte Green Beans beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. I appreciate you. But that did not mean jurors were ruled out. The judge asked if they were able to be impartial. The judge and both legal teams struck anyone who had biases. One man was removed for saying that he doesn't trust police, another because his wife once worked on an unrelated Diddy court case 30 years ago. Another takeaway was that most of the potential female jurors had experienced sexual or domestic abuse or know someone who had. Okay, still waiting for updates. Mel said this trial is going to be long and drawn out. I hope not. Gwendolyn said, Queen, who goes first with opening statements? The party that has the burden of proof, that has to prove the burden of proof, that would be the prosecution, so they go first. It'll be the prosecution first and then the defense, okay? That's how that usually goes in a criminal case anyway. Because in a civil case, the plaintiff makes the opening statements first. Okay, likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Trip and Travel said, Smokey Robinson's housemates are illegal immigrants looking for a quick payday before deportation day. You never know. I have several questions about the accusations myself. Queen Sam said, Queen, did you all feel the earthquake in Atlanta? This weather is so end of times. I didn't feel it. It was more so in North Georgia. That's where they said most people felt it. I didn't see. Was that Kanye? I see a couple of people asking, was that Kanye West? I didn't. I doubt it. Could have been, but I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Hey, Chris B. Okay, so they are taking a minute for these updates. I am too anxious. I might have to fly out to New York. I told you I was thinking about going out there. I might have to go out there because this is just giving me too much anxiety. I need to know what's going on in real time. Okay. Still waiting on some updates. Okay, hold on. Is this one? Let me see here. Okay, so here's an update. Okay, so they say, hold on. Let me make sure I'm reading this in order. Okay, so they said breaking. Okay, Sean Combs' lawyer challenged prosecutor selection of jurors, saying that 7 of their 9 strikes were of Black people, just like someone said in the chat. Okay, AUSA Comey proffered reasons, and Judge Subramaniam updated the jury selection. Okay, so they got rid of 7 out of 9 Black folk. That's what the prosecution did. Okay. Then they say 100% is a high number. I'm just reporting as much as I can if like and can support. Okay, that's the that's what Matthew Russell is saying. Okay, so anyway, that's it for now. Let's just wait and see what happens. Yeah, of course they're going to get rid of all the Black folk. You already know that. Already know. Panther Strike said, Queen, if you do, we're going to paper you up. All that you do for us, we'll put something on the books for your ticket and hotel. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you all. Gwendolyn said, go, Queen. Then you can give us the real scoop. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to have to do. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Hey, Auntie Leah said, Queen is reporting. Okay, so let's see here. The Inkwell said, Queen, you may want to stay put. Radar issues a Newark airport radar issues at Newark airport. So New York airports are handling overflow of passengers. Oh, really? Diddy and his team ain't trying to get black people. You said Diddy and his team? I would think that they absolutely are, beloved. Yeah, they are. That's why they challenged the prosecution for getting rid of 7 out of 9 of them because they were black. Queen Sam said, and we don't need another all-white jury. Exactly. Anthony says, black people love Diddy. Okay. Roberta said their reasons were valid for those strikes. Yeah, now if those were the ones who had, if any of them were the ones who had a relative that shot a police officer and then another person said they don't like the police or whatever, yeah, that would be a good reason to strike them. But Mark Agnifilo is saying that they got rid of them because they were black. Now these could be other jurors they got rid of. Okay, I'm not sure. TC Dan said, yes, it's crazy, but you might want to take the train instead. I ain't taking no train, I'll tell you that right now. I'll see how I can figure it all out. Don't worry. Okay, here's another update. They say, while we wait, Inner City Press has put up an extra about a questionable fact or lie that made it through the challenges. Hold on, what is he talking about? While we wait, Inner City Press has put up an extra about a questionable fact or lie that made it through the challenges. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Whatever it was, it looks like he deleted it because it says this post is unavailable. Any of these arguments that the defense is making about the prosecution's preemptory strikes is not going to fly because, like I told you all days ago, when it's preemptory strikes, you don't even have to give an explanation for why you struck the person. Okay, so let's get into some of the latest updates. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so they say jurors are seated. Judge Aaron Subramaniam says, welcome back. This is U.S. versus Sean Combs. We will be providing lunch for you in the jury room. We will not release your names to the public. The clerk is now swearing in the jurors. Okay, please pay attention. Now, hold on here. Let's see if I can tell you something about some of these jurors. Okay, the jury has been sworn in, and now the judge is giving jurors basic instructions, including the definitions of legal terms. Okay, this information is coming from my, hold on. This information is coming from my insider. So they said they were going to tell me some stuff about the jurors. Okay, so they said the judge also tells them that their personal information, their names, and other identifying information will not be disclosed to the public. Okay, the jurors range in ages from 30s to their 70s. They live in Manhattan, the Bronx, and Westchester County. The panel includes a massage therapist, an investment analyst, a scientist, and a deli clerk at Grestadis. I think I said that right. Several of the jurors reported that they have seen the video of Sean Combs assaulting his former girlfriend, a central incident in the trial. Okay, the jury has now entered the courtroom, and this is 8 minutes ago. Okay, so anyway, now they say race, ethnicity, and gender can be contentious issues when juries are being picked. As the prosecution and the defense jockey to find the right balance, the lawyers occasionally make so-called bats and challenges as Sean Combs' team just did unsuccessfully. Okay, Batson was a landmark case in 1986 for the Supreme Court decision that started a line of rulings barring the use of race and other such characteristics as a basis for excluding prospective jurors. Okay, so that's why Mark Agnifilo felt that he could use that argument, okay, about them striking the juries. Okay, such challenges have been seen in New York in civil rights, political corruption, and even terrorism cases. Okay, Maureen Comey, one of the lead prosecutors, is going through her reasoning for striking Black potential jurors. One candidate cited multiple negative run-ins with police and concerned the government. Another expressed that he may not have been able to avoid news coverage about the case. Mark Agnifilo, one of Sean Combs' attorneys, has noted that the government struck the 7 Black jurors and asked for, okay, I already got all that part. Okay, so basically it looks like the prosecution, it looks as if the prosecution had a good reason for striking those people. Okay, Janice Combs, the mogul's mother, is sitting in the second row of the gallery, dressed in Black, surrounded by family members. When Sean Combs was tried in New York State Court in 2001 for gun possession and bribery, she was there every day, often even bringing him food. Right now, I need to be with my son, she said at the time. Okay, so the jury has been sworn in, so it's about to get started with these opening statements. As soon as the judge is done giving them their basic instructions, they're about to get it popping. Okay. Jeff ATL said Janice Combs ain't ish. Okay. Okay, so while we're waiting, I'm going to be trying to see what's going on at the New Jersey airport, as you all said. Okay, so here are some of the instructions the judge is apparently given to the jurors. The judge says questions are not evidence. Only the answers given by the witnesses and the documents are evidence. You can consider circumstantial evidence, like something like someone walking in with a dripping umbrella. You can surmise it's raining outside, even if you don't see it. Okay, so he's letting them trying to make them understand what circumstantial evidence is. That was from 5 minutes ago. Okay, so anyway, like I said, I'm about to see what's going on at this airport to see. Yeah, Janet, she did get sued for publishing, right? Absolutely. Okay, so hang on, beloveds. You all are saying you don't hear anything. I wasn't saying anything, beloveds. I was actually on the phone. I was on the phone checking on something, okay? Hold on. Let me see what's going on here. Okay, so still waiting for updates. Hey, you guys, Jaguar is at the trial. Jaguar Wright is at the trial reporting live outside. Y'all, I got to get up here. Everybody is up here. Okay, please pay attention. James says, I want to know about this Jeffries case because we're going to need FBI Cash Patel to step in. Okay, y'all know I reported on him last January. I was the first one to talk about him because nobody was really saying anything about it in the media. But meanwhile, they're talking about the men who look like Diddy. Okay, Panther Strike said, Queen, go to New York. Oh, honey, don't worry. I'm going to get there. Just Anticipate said, I know you lying. No, Jag is up there reporting live. I just see it right now. Armand Wiggins is up there too. Okay, so anyway, honey, I got to get there. So I'm waiting on somebody to call me back because I have them checking on something. Gwyneth said, Queen, we need true reporting. Okay. Sierra said, I'll donate to your traveling fund. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Andrew Vinson said, Queen, will you go on a private jet? Okay. I wish.
Your car insurance?
I absolutely wish, honey. Okay. I'll see what I can do. Please pay attention. Queen Shay said, I'll go to the city to see you, Queen. All right. Thank you, beloved. Okay, let me see if there's any more updates. Still waiting. See, this is just all too much for me. I need to get there, honey, because this is just all too nerve-wracking. Nicole says, you need to be there. You'll break down things way better, my opinion, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Okay, so let's see here. No updates yet. Okay, so I'm about to see if I can start making some travel arrangements. Y'all pay attention. Okay, so let's get to these updates. So 9 minutes ago, the judge says that a witness uses a pseudonym does not mean that their testimony is worthy of less weight. During the trial, do not read or view or listen to anything about this case, and don't post anything. Once the U.S. rests, the defense can present should he choose. There you can see Diddy's family coming in. There's Justin and Quincy and his daughters in the back. Diddy's fam pulled up to the court in full force Monday, locked in, loyal, and leaving no doubt that they're riding with him as his criminal trial gets underway. Okay, now AUSA Johnson, this is Sean Combs to the public. He was a cultural icon, a businessman, larger than life, but there was another side to him. You will hear about 20 years of the defendant's crimes. He had a team to help him, kidnapping, arson, drugs, S crimes. Okay, that's part of the opening statement given by AUSA Johnson, who then goes on to say, let's start with one might. He was on the hunt for his girlfriend, Cassie. He forced her to have sex with male escorts while he watched and recorded it. He found out Cassie was seeing another man. Furious, he set out to find Cassie and another man. He woke an employee to drive to the house, but no one was there. The defendant didn't give up. He kept looking for Cassie. When he found her, he beat her brutally, kicking her in the back and flinging her around like a rag doll, but it wasn't enough. He told Cassie he would release video of her having sex with male escorts. He broke into a man's house and he beat and blackmailed his girlfriend. These are not his only crimes. Cassie is not the only woman he beat and sexually exploited. 20 years of crimes. Ooh, honey, she's coming in hard. Let's hear what the defense has to say when they come back on the opening statement. I guarantee you all they're going to do is just say that none of that stuff's true. Basically, it was all just consensual because they've already told us how that's going down. Okay. Roberta says, gee, started out with Cassie. My. Let me stop. Let me stop reporting. No disrespect, Queen. Just excited about the trial. Oh, that's okay, honey. Okay, so that all being said, this is going to be juicy. Queen Shay said, I'll drive 2 hours to New York. That's nothing. All right, Queen Shay. Okay, waiting for the next updates. Claudette said the opening statement sounds damning. Oh, it definitely does. They're going to reiterate the violence and the force and all of the things that he did and how he did this to multiple people. He's going to be painted as a monster before the testimony even starts, okay? Now, we saw that Little Rod is there in line. Okay, Little Rod and his attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, are there. I wonder how many of the other victims or accusers with civil suits against him are going to be there. Panther Strike says, so that's the prosecution's first witness, Cassie. No, Cassie's supposed to go third. There's 2 people going before her, beloved. Cassie's not going to start her testimony until probably sometime this afternoon, they said. Okay, Demetria said, trial starting off naming names and giving details, honey. Okay. Roberta says, the guy who tracked Cassie down has agreed to testify. His name is James Cruz. It's about to get real, y'all. Please pay attention. Okay, this is all nefarious. Okay, James Allen says, so it's a third person still missing. As far as I know, they haven't said anything about her showing up, and that person is Gina, whom I doubt she's going to testify. The Inkwell says, Queen, I would fly into Philly and Amtrak to Manhattan. Okay. D Major's scaling up said, this might go quicker than we thought. Okay, so let me switch the footage real quick.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why I'm here.
Concerned if she doesn't about the case.
Andrew says, Queen, when does the FBI show up with all their tapes? Well, they've already got the tapes entered into discovery. So I don't know when they're going to present that evidence. I don't know when they're going to present their evidence, beloved. But they've already got all that in their possession, and they've already shared that with that information with the defense team.
Los Angeles. All of us is blessed to have COVID. I'm sorry. We're just hoping for change. All right, I'm going to New York fans just had to do with ugly. That's forever.
You know what? Yeah. Oh man, that and by the way, when you have the one that I do that
Like camera.
Right here, yeah. I did get a shot. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I'm surprised.
Okay, here are some more updates. AUSA says he had a business, Bad Boy Records. That made him right. He relied on his bodyguards, chiefs of staff, who ran all aspects of his life. The group promoted his power, and his bodyguards kidnapped an employee and set a car on fire. Dangled a person. Honey, this is all getting real messy. Real quick, pay attention. Okay, dangled a person. They say, AUSA says they delivered illegal substances whenever he said, including to women he forced to have sex with escorts. He transported them across state lines and even out of the country. Let me be very clear. This case is not about a celebrity's private and sexual preferences. Okay, they're putting that out there because they know that's what the defense is going to say. And here's the thing. In my opinion, the defense is crazy because they should never have put out their defense strategy as to how they were going to proceed, with the case. I don't think they should have done that. I thought that was real stupid because they really gave the prosecution the heads up. So now the prosecution is already saying, nope, make no mistake. Let's be clear. This is not about a celebrity's private and sexual preferences. Okay, so they're already knocking holes in that theory, or at least trying to. OG Patrice said all these opening statements are setting the tone for Diddy's character, I believe. Oh, yes, absolutely. That's exactly what they're doing. Okay, that is exactly what they're doing, beloved. Okay, so my source just sent me some information. Let's get into it. Okay, says Emily A. Johnson, the prosecutor, is beginning to detail the freak-offs at the center of the government's case, which were also called Wild King Nights or Hotel Nights. She says that Sean Combs' businesses often paid for expenses associated with these events. Johnson says two women, Cassandra Ventura and another woman referred to by the pseudonym of Jane, were directed on what to wear and what illegal substances to take, and then on every step of sexual activity. Now, anticipating Sean Combs' possible defense, Emily A. Johnson, the prosecutor, says this case is not about a celebrity's private sexual preferences. She says Combs made women have sex when they didn't want to. He threatened them, rugged them with a D, and then used violence to coerce them into the sex. Johnson, the prosecutor, says that Sean Combs he expected his inner circle to cater to his asexual desires. He sometimes called himself the king, and he expected to be treated like one, she said. Now, the prosecutor said that company resources were used to help him sexually exploit multiple women, including by intimidating some into having sex with male prostitutes in front of him. Okay, hold on, you guys. Someone's at my door. Hold on. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, I have someone here to do some work. Okay, so now let's get back to it. Okay, so where was I? So he would make them The prosecutor said the company resources were used to help him sexually exploit multiple women, including by intimidating some of them into having sex with male prostitutes in front of him. Okay. Now, in her opening statement, Johnson, the prosecutor, describes what the government says was just one night in the years of crimes they accused Sean Combs of committing. The mogul had learned that his girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, was seeing another man. Johnson said, so Combs woke up an employee in the middle of the night and said he was going to kill the man. They broke into the man's house, but he wasn't there. Then Combs went looking for Ventura and did what he had done countless times before, beat her brutally. Honey, they are going in on him. Okay, please pay attention. I'll be right back. Okay. Johnson, the prosecutor, delivering the opening statement for the government, says there was another side to Sean Combs, the entertainer, a side that ran a criminal enterprise. During this trial, you're going to hear about 20 years of defendant's crimes, excuse me, but he didn't do it alone. He had an inner circle of bodyguards and high-ranking employees who helped him commit crimes and helped him cover them up. All right, honey, this is getting juicy already. The lead prosecutors have experience in complex racketeering cases also, by the way, according to my source. Now, they say the most prominent of the 6 prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York handling the case against Sean Combs is Maureen Comey. Remember, this is James Comey, his daughter, the former director of the FBI. Okay, she's handling the case against Sean Combs, Maureen Comey, who has extensive experience on complex racketeering cases like the one brought against the music mogul. A prosecutor for nearly a decade, Ms. Comey was also involved in the case against Ghislaine Maxwell, the former socialite who conspired with Jeffrey Epstein to sexually exploit underage girls. Ms. Comey was also one of the prosecutors in the charge of criminal case against Mr. Epstein until he was found deceased in his jail cell. Okay, it's all nefarious. Okay, you all sit tight while I see what else is coming in. Yeah, I forgot I had this couple of contractors come here today to do some work. Okay, so hold on for a second.
Trial for Sean. This morning, the federal criminal trial for Sean Diddy Combs is officially underway.
No comment, Gus.
Combs' legal team and New York prosecutors are set to give opening statements after they finalize the jury, setting the stage for a fiery legal showdown that could last 8 weeks. The case centers around 4 main accusers, including Combs' former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, who could testify as early as today. Ventura, who is pregnant with her 3rd child, is expected to discuss the allegations of physical and emotional abuse she first made in an explosive 2023 civil suit, in which she claimed Combs forced her to participate in drug-fueled sex parties known as freak-offs. As for evidence, prosecutors are expected to play a version of this security video, first obtained by CNN, showing Combs brutally beating Ventura in a hotel hallway in 2016. Before Ventura testifies, prosecutors say they will call 2 additional witnesses, including an escort. Combs, who was arrested last September, is charged with sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution, and he faces up to life in prison. New York prosecutors alleging in their sweeping indictment that Combs used his business empire to carry out illegal activity and abused women for nearly 2 decades. But Combs has maintained his innocence, claiming all the relationships were consensual. His attorney, Mark Agnifilo, saying last month that this was nothing more than a swinger's lifestyle, quote, that he thought was appropriate because it was common. Now all eyes are on one of the most anticipated celebrity trials in recent memory.
And Chloe, there were some other celebrities that were mentioned last week tied to this trial. Who else might take the stand?
That's right, Craig. So there is rampant speculation as to who is going to step foot in this courtroom. And some celebrity names have been thrown out there because there was a list called People and Places that was given to some of these jurors during jury selection last week. There were names like Michael B. Jordan, Mike Myers, Kanye West. Now, these individuals, they haven't been accused of any wrongdoing, but will they testify? Will other individuals who will be testifying mention them in what they have to say? We've reached out to their representatives for comment. We haven't heard back, but that is something that a lot of people on social media, you guys, are talking about because people are wondering what celebrities could be taking the stand besides Cassie Ventura.
Chloe Malas outside the courthouse for us. Chloe, thank you so much. And again, there's a great deal of interest in this trial. So for the very latest reporting from inside that courtroom, check out the Dateline True Crime Weekly On Trial podcast. To find that podcast, just scan the QR code or you can look for it wherever you get your podcasts.
The future of
That looks like Diddy's mother, Janice Combs.
At first I thought it might be like, correspondence, but,
How are you?
How are you, sir?
I think everybody knows.
Yeah, you want to just down where you're.
She doesn't about the face.
How you doing?
Phil, step in.
How are you?
How's everything?
You're good for your spot over here. Right? Huh? You're gonna take that? No, we got to take that spot over there today. All of us is blessed to have COVID. Real good. She's a radical. We're just hoping for change. After the New York fans had to be with ugly. That's forever.
You know what? Oh man, that and by the way, when you have people holding that guy, you have
Yeah,
At first I thought it might be like, you know, a correspondent. So, you know.
It looks like it, yeah.
Left through.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
How are you, sir?
I think everybody.
Okay, so that's Quincy. As you all can see, that's Quincy going inside. Okay, so let me pause there for a second or turn the volume off so we can get into the rest of these updates. Okay, so the prosecution began to describe the story of their star witness, Cassandra Ventura. She was 19 years old and a model and aspiring singer when she met Combs in the mid 2000s. Johnson says the physical abuse started early in the relationship and described how in 2009, Combs threw Ventura to the floor of an SUV and stomped her repeatedly in her face. Anyway, hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me scroll up here. Let me see here. Okay, so the prosecution says Cassandra Ventura agreed to participate in a freak-off initially because she loved Combs, but Johnson says that she knew it was not something she wanted to do. Johnson describes one freak-off in which Ventura felt like she was choking when Combs made an escort urinate into her mouth. Do you all hear this? This is absolutely sick. Are y'all hearing this? This is absolutely appalling. Okay? This is absolutely appalling. Did you all hear this crap? Hold on. Let me put this back on the screen. Hold on. This is really sick. Okay? Are you kidding me? Okay, so anyway, goes on to say that Johnson says Cassandra Ventura soon learned that defying Sean Combs would end in violence. Eventually, Johnson says she knew she had no choice but to agree to the freak-offs when she was often asked to arrange, which she was often asked to arrange herself. Let me tell you all something. Let me tell you what the prosecution is doing, and this is very smart. The prosecution is going on. They're pulling. Did you all see, for any of you that saw the movie 8 Mile with Eminem, remember how the guy, when they were having the disc competition with Eminem and the guy Papa Doc, or whatever his name was, and that guy got up there getting ready to try to go in on Eminem, but instead Eminem said all the negative things about himself so that the guy would have nothing left. This is what the prosecution's doing. Okay, they're admitting that Cassie arranged these freak-offs. Please pay attention. They're also admitting that Cassie initially was a participant in it, that she was willing to do it because she was so in love with Diddy. And so then they go on to say that Cassandra Ventura's, Johnson says Cassandra Ventura soon learned that defying Sean Combs would end in violence. Eventually, Johnson says she knew she had no choice but to agree to the freak-offs, which she often was asked herself to arrange. Okay, then it says that the prosecution has moved on to the second alleged victim, a woman who is being called by pseudonym Jane in court. Emily A. Johnson, the prosecutor, describes her as a single mother who started spending time with Sean Combs in 2020. Okay, Jane agreed to participate in a freak-off also to please Combs. Now, she thought it was a one-time thing, but it didn't turn out that way. Johnson says Jane wanted Combs to wear protection, but many times he would not. Once, when Jane vomited after taking illegal substances for a freak off, Combs told her to hurry up and get back to join the escort. How low down and dirty is that? Diddy, your ass is going down. Now, the prosecutor, Emily A. Johnson, says that to control Jane financially, Sean Combs discouraged her from working because he wanted her to be available at a moment's notice and started paying her rent. As with Cassandra Ventura, Combs threatened Jane with videos. Okay, hold on. He threatened her with videos that he recorded of the freak-offs. This is what Johnson said, AUSA Johnson. Okay, they're pulling it all out on Diddy, honey. He's looking real bad before the trial even gets started good, okay? Please pay attention. Look at Anthony Ray here talking about free Diddy. Yeah, right. Diddy needs to be exactly where he is, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so anyway, let's keep waiting for these updates. Likes up, everyone. Please, please, please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, so here are some more updates, beloveds. I'm sorry I forgot to start the audio back with that video. Okay, so listen, here are some more updates. Okay, so they said the prosecutor, Emily A. Johnson, says that to control Jane financially, Sean Combs discouraged her from working. Okay, we read that part already. Hold on. Okay, the prosecution describes a night when Sean Combs became enraged at Jane after a dispute over her seeing another woman. Emily A. Johnson, the prosecutor, says that Jane ran around the house trying to escape him, but Combs grabbed her in a chokehold, lifted her up off the ground by her neck, and kicked her to the ground. At the end of this ordeal, Johnson says Combs instructed Jane to call an escort for a freak-off. He made her cover up her black eye, take an ecstasy pill, and perform for the defendant. The prosecution has introduced a third woman accusing Sean Combs of coercing her into sex, referring to her by the pseudonym of Maya, M-I-A. Okay, so the prosecution says this former employee will testify about times that Combs forced himself on her sexually, including forcing her to perform a fellatio, sneaking into her bed to penetrate her against her will. Now, this is an employee they're talking about. Okay. The prosecution told the jury that an incident at the center of the case represented a pattern of Sean Combs' employees trying to cover up his crimes. This incident is the assault of Cassandra Ventura in a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. After the assault was captured on surveillance footage, the prosecutor, Emily A. Johnson, says Combs and his chief of staff contacted a hotel security guard to broker a deal. Combs ended up giving the guard a brown paper bag filled with $100,000 in cash, essentially buying the hotel surveillance footage. We know now that any attempts at a cover-up didn't work. CNN published the footage last year, and the jury is expected to see parts of it. Woo, Diddy, you going down, honey. This is all bad. Now, the prosecution has opened the trial by describing accounts of two women, including Sean Combs' former girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, who says Combs coerced her into rug-fueled, orchestrated sex marathons with male prostitutes. The government says a third woman, a former employee, will testify about times that Combs forced himself on her sexually. Their case revolves around Combs' conduct, but also that of members of his inner circle who are accused of working to cover up their boss's crimes. Honey, Diddy must have thought he was John Gotti. Honey, please pay attention. Now they say, okay, yeah, that's it for now. Hold on, let me see. Let me check the other sites. Trying to get y'all all these updates, honey. You know, Maya, this assistant that they're talking about, I wonder if that's Capricorn Clark. Okay, hold on. Okay, a few more updates. AUSA says you will see a video of the defendant brutally beating Cassie during a freak-off in an LA hotel. You will see photos of the damage, including 4 doors in Jane's home not even a year ago. You will see what he had in his home: guns, a medical bag of rugs with a D, and lube. AUSA says you will see text messages in which the defendant tells staff to bring cash for escorts, and by Jane saying that she did not want to do she didn't want to do the freak-offs. You will see videos. In them, you can hear the defendant provide direction to Cassie and Jane, high on XT and the letter Z. Y'all know what I'm talking about. This is all crazy. So they're going to have audio of Diddy, I guess, telling them what to do, like instructing them in some of these videos, okay, of the freak-offs. All right. Teeny Garagos. Here we go. This must be the defense team. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not skipping anything. Okay. Then they say Emily A. Johnson, the prosecutor, is previewing some of the evidence the jury should expect. Text messages about prostitutes, including Combs, asking. Now, some of this may be repetitive, but that's because I'm going to different sources and also trying to keep up with my insider sending me at the same time. So I'm reading you all everything that I can get. Okay, so Emily A. Johnson, the prosecutor, is previewing some of the evidence the jury should expect. Text messages about prostitutes, including Combs, asking staff for money to pay them, video of him assaulting Cassie, videos of the freak-offs, which the government says show that Combs was directing the encounters. You will see for yourself the defendant's violence and its aftermath, Johnson says. At trial, Sean Combs will be represented by a large and varied defense team, one that has grown even larger and more varied in recent days. Since early in the government's investigation, Mr. Combs has retained Mark Agnifilo and Tina Garagos of the firm Agnifilo Trader. Tina Garagos, a lawyer for Sean Combs, has begun delivering the defense's opening statement. Sean Combs is a complicated man, but this is not a complicated case. She says the government is trying to turn consensual sexual relationships into S trafficking. It will not work. Well, honey, it looks like it's working to me. Okay. So anyway, honey, this is all getting real. Please pay attention. The Hood Ruler says people got to be careful and not trip and fall using those steps. Legend has it, it's a trail of baby oil wherever Diddy walks. Cut it out. Okay, JFG 58 says Diddy spending $100K a day in attorney fees. Yep. Okay, I'm going to mute myself for a second while I try to gather more receipts. Tina Garagos is painting Sean Combs, his lawyer. She's painting her client as a magnetic, larger-than-life figure who worked for his wealth and his success. No one gave him a dime. Yeah, nobody had to give him a dime because he stole it all from his artist. Okay, he took their publishing, took their money, didn't pay him, and all this, that, and the third. That's what he did. Yeah, she's right. She's not lying there. Nobody did give him anything because he took what he wanted. Okay, please pay attention in more ways than one.
Yeah,
At first, I thought it might be like correspondence. But,
It looks like
Okay, they say he made Cassie do his bidding in those dark hotel rooms. Cassie was not the only one. This was a pattern. Okay, and then she talks about Jane, the single mom. Okay, I think I may have read that already. Hold on, let me scroll up. Tina Garrigo says he sometimes gets so jealous or angry, he's out of control. You will hear that he lied to his girlfriends. You may think that he's a jerk or mean, but he's not tried for that. He's tried for running a racketeering enterprise. This is domestic violence. Teeny then says this case is about Sean Combs' private sex life. The government has no business in that. These hardworking individuals were educated from Harvard to Howard University. He has a temper and got violent. He's not proud of that. We own it. Okay. I mean, that's all they can do because there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no getting around that. That's all they can do is own it. They can't make any excuses about it.
Yeah. You gotta go ahead. So yeah, you will play here. You will.
Okay, AUSA says domestic violence is not trafficking. Had he been charged with domestic violence, we would not be sitting through an 8-week trial. He's not guilty of these crimes. Okay, as the trial goes on, we're going to take on accountability. We will not shy away. Tina Garrigo says, not AUSA. Sean Combs had a bit of a different sex life. The alleged victims were all getting something from him. They are adults. They too must take on responsibility for their lives as he does for his. A free choice has pros and cons. You all, this is not looking too good. At the end of the day, I think that maybe they should have let Mark Agnifilo, the lead attorney, they should have probably let him deliver the opening arguments as opposed to Teeny, because this ain't looking good, honey. Okay, please pay attention. Hold on, stay tuned.
Thank you, Kyoko.
Every one of them.
Who are you guys photographing today? The Diddy trial? Oh, Diddy. Oh, right. Yeah. That's where Diddy's getting tried.
Okay, so let me give you all this next update really quick. Teeny Garagos provided. Hold on, let me pause this or turn this volume up. Hold on. Okay, so Teeny Garagos previewed the defense's case and began by acknowledging Combs is a complicated man, but this is not a complicated case. Combs' lifestyle is about real-life relationships, but accused prosecutors of trying to turn them into a racketeering trafficking case, and it will not work. You will hear why people stayed around him and why it matters. He gave people opportunity and chances, Garagos says, adding that they didn't always like what he did or how he behaved, but they truly loved him, and by being with him, they were part of something special. Well, I don't know how they're going to prove that, honey, because it seems like those same people are in there testifying against him. Now, saying that the only people who knew about a racketeering enterprise are the prosecutors, she says. This case is about Sean Combs' private SEX life. The government has no place in that. Okay, so we've heard that already. Okay, so let's keep waiting.
Right, how are you? It's okay. What's good? See you too.
I gotta tell you, these allergies have gotten to me today.
What's that?
The tree pollen. It's
Yeah.
very hot today. I just feel it all in my throat.
Last week was a horrible week for me because of the allergy.
Yeah. It's funny. My wife grew up like had allergies all her life.
Yeah.
Like even when when we got married in 2000, like 25 years, every year like clockwork she used to suffer until 2 years ago, and then she stopped. It just stopped with her, and then I started. I've never had allergies.
That's weird.
It's like her stopping, mine stopped.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a bad day to be out in the sun, is it?
It's nice. It's really nice.
I see you're gonna go up front.
See you, man.
Okay, so a couple of more updates. Okay, so Teeny Garagos says, Cassie will tell you about the jealousy of Kim Porter, then Gina. The day of the hotel hallway, jealousy was on display. Violence by the elevator bank 10 years ago. You'll see it later today. When Combs did what Combs did is indefensible. Okay, the video is not evidence of S trafficking. Cassie walked out of the hotel room with 2 bags. Combs comes down wearing only a towel. He stomps her and drags her by her hoodie. He comes back around to get a phone. Okay, so they're saying, remember they said that she was upset about his phone? And then so they're saying that he came back around to get the phone. So basically, I guess that's going to be how they tried to prove that they weren't having a freak off that night, and that they weren't fighting over a freak off, that it was basically about Cassie getting into Diddy's phone. And she's trying to say that Cassie was jealous of Kim Porter and Gina. Okay, let's not forget that Gina is who we believe was victim 3, who refuses to testify. Okay, as prosecutors cite high-ranking officials tied to Combs' alleged crimes, expect to hear more about Christina Coram, Combs' chief of staff, once described as his right hand. Coram is among his associates most often named in the sexual assault complaints against him. One lawsuit filed by producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones compared her to Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's convicted accomplice. Coram has denied the allegations. I have never condoned or aided and abetted the sexual assault of anyone, she said, nor have I ever rugged, with a D, anyone. That's what she said back in March to Rolling Stone. The defense plans to present text messages from Sean Combs' employees. For the most part, the evidence will show that the evidence will show you that they loved him. This is what Tina Garagos is saying. She then introduced Combs, who stood up and faced the jury with his hands clasped in front of him. These hardworking individuals working for Combs will say there was no criminal enterprise, as the prosecution alleges. Okay, then she says, Combs does have a temper and could get out of control after drinking and while on rugs, with a D. All right, let's keep listening.
Yes. That's why I'm here. I think this is concerned if she doesn't about the case.
How you doing?
Phil, step in. How are you? How's everything? You're good for your spot over here. Right? Huh? You're gonna take that? No, we got to take that spot over there today.
Los Angeles.
All of us is blessed to have food. We're just hoping for change. Right after the New York fans just had you with the ugly. That's forever.
You know what? Yeah. Oh man, that and by the way, when you have the one that I do that
like camera.
So I think that we had
Right here, guy.
yeah.
I did get a shot.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I'm surprised. It's 25 minutes until it starts. The big one will be that one. It will be pretty easy to tell. My guess is they'll pull up. No, car.
You should have stick shit on that there. There you go. That's what you wanted.
This is fun. Huh, getting in the pool. It's a weird move. Oh no, this is becoming a real trend here. I need food. Can't swim while I'm eating. The 30-minute rule. Genius. Tiny bites appear to be savoring. The chip will keep you dry. That's okay, just say something smart and awesome. I love this house. I hate this house. Okay, just hang on to the taco. All right, whatever.
Oh, no, you didn't.
We gotta keep the sentence clear, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, more updates. Okay, so Tina Garrigo says, what causes a fight about a phone? This is what she's asking. She's asking the jury, what causes a fight about a phone? Phones keep the secrets of infidelity. As soon as he gets the phone, he sits down. Remember the part where he was fighting Cassie and then he went and sat down in that chair and then he threw the vase? So that's obviously what she's talking about. As soon as he gets the phone, he sits down. So Cassie was trying to take his phone when she was leaving, I guess. Okay, he's visibly disgusted. Cassie calls security. You will hear from him later today. The guard tells him to leave the public area. Okay, so the security guard from the hotel is going to testify. Tina Garrigos then says, in 2020 with Jane, Combs was more upfront. He told her he was dating other women. She was still jealous. Jane wanted it public. He proposed a consensual threesome. They went to a private hotel. I expect her to say she enjoyed it. Now that she expects her to say she enjoyed it, I'm sure she won't say that. Tina Garrigos then says, Cassie married the trainer and is pregnant with her third child. Okay, evaluate Combs' intent at the time for those 11 years. The messages will show she was a willing participant in their sex life. Cassie's testimony this week can't change that. Ooh, honey, well, and see what they're doing is I think they're going to let Teeny cross-examine Cassie too. Like I told y'all, they should definitely have a woman to do it. Okay, then they say, then Teeny says, Jane was desperate to be with him, to give him things others couldn't. She tried to make it more than sexual. I'm not sure how she will put it, but it always came back to the parties in the hotel rooms. This was their time together. Okay, Teeny then says Jane did it for the cuddle. She wanted to make him happy. She was unable to resist him emotionally. There was a phone call in November of 2023. Even after that, she flew out to see him many more times. It was toxic, but she was willing. Okay, so all of his relationships were toxic, Teeny. Is that what you're telling us? And she said there was a phone call in November of 2023. That's around the time Cassie filed the lawsuit. So this person was dealing with Diddy recently, according to Teeny. Okay, stay tuned. I'm still looking for more updates, beloveds.
How are you feeling today?
Okay, so hold on. Okay, so in the government's opening statement, Emily A. Johnson, one of the prosecutors, sought to differentiate Sean Combs' public persona as a glamorous mogul for how they portray him in their indictment as a serial abuser and an trafficker who hurt and manipulated women for decades and controlled the organization that helped him to do it. To the public, he was Puff Daddy or Diddy, Ms. Johnson says. Okay, a cultural icon, a businessman, larger than life. But there was another side of him, a side that ran a criminal enterprise. Tina Garrigos, one of Combs' lawyers, is zeroing in on the security footage of Combs' beating of Cassie Ventura in the hotel hallway in 2016, which was shown on CNN and will be a key piece of evidence. Okay, Garrigos acknowledges that the video shows Combs' violence toward her, but that the full footage, including scenes that have not been shown publicly before, will portray it as the result of a quarrel over infidelity in their relationship, which was discovered on a cell phone, saying that the video is overwhelming evidence of domestic violence, Garrigos says, but it's overwhelming evidence that this domestic violence is over a phone, not over trafficking. They're going to have to try to drive that point home, because right now the defense is using that video, or the prosecution, I mean, is using that video to prove that he was forcing Cassie to do these freak offs that she didn't want to participate in. Okay, please pay attention. Now, the defense is repeating the description of the accusers at the center of the government's case as capable, strong adult women. They are pushing the idea that these women who they described as girlfriends of Sean Combs's were involved in a consensual sexual relationship. I don't know why they're saying that these women are strong, because no matter how strong they weren't stronger than Diddy. So I don't even think they should have put that in their statements. I think that's going to hurt their case. That's just my opinion. Okay, but I'm going to mute myself while I look for more updates. Okay, they say that in 2018, Cassie Ventura saw a gossip magazine or a gossip site posting about Sean Diddy Combs walking out of a hotel room with another woman, and decided to end things. Okay, that's what they're saying. This is what Teeny Garrigo said, that she saw a gossip site with a picture of Diddy walking out of a hotel room with another woman, and that's when she decided to end things. She made a choice. Hold on. Okay, says she made a choice every single day for years, a choice to stay with him, a choice to fight for him, because for 11 years, that was the better choice. That was her preferred choice. So she made the choice to stay with him until now, or until one day she decided she was going to break up with him, because that was what she wanted to do. So you know what? This is making it look as though Cassie was basically staying with Diddy all this time. And when she was saying that she feared for her life and couldn't leave, that when she finally decided to leave in 2018 because she was jealous because he had somebody else at a hotel or whatever, that she just up and left. Okay. That she could have left previously, basically is what they're implying, that she could have already left. Okay. And so let me see what else. I don't want to miss anything. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, so here's another update. Says Tina Garagos, one of Sean Combs' lawyers, is now addressing Jane, the pseudonym witness, okay, that the government contends was a victim of S trafficking. Jane had a relationship with Combs after Cassandra Ventura left in 2018. Garagos says that she was older and had a child. She was a willing participant in their threesomes and other sexual encounters. The evidence is going to show you a toxic, dysfunctional relationship between two adults. You may think, wow, this is a really bad boyfriend, but the evidence will show you a capable, strong woman willingly engaged in their relationship. This is not S trafficking. What they're trying to drive home is that no matter how low down and dirty you think the things are that Diddy did, no matter if you think he was a terrible man to these women, or that he may even have manipulated them or had them in relationships and was cheating on them or whatever, that none of this has anything to do with S trafficking. That's what they're trying to prove. Andrew says, yes, Diddy goes straight to hell. I know that's right. Okay. Aubrey says, so it took seeing a woman and not the S workers who she claimed forced. I know, right? That's what's crazy. And that's going to sound crazy to some of the jurors, I do believe. Also, the fact that they said Diddy had one of those S workers urinate in her mouth. Like, how do you stay after that? That is so disgusting, if true. Absolutely disgusting. There's no amount of money that could have made me stay in a relationship with crap like that going on. It's absolutely egregious. Please pay attention. Okay, so here's another update. They say that Maya, an employee, will tell you how the defendant forces himself on her, hand up her dress, penetrating her amidst all this violence, and he and his inner circle work to cover up his crimes. The video at the LA hotel, you will hear just how far that went. Okay, and then let me see here. Tina Garagos says, you will hear about swinger parties. They will testify about things that should never be heard in a federal courtroom that he liked to watch. You may not like that, but you are not here to judge him for his sexual preferences. Okay, Tina Garagos then says they remained in a multi-year relationship with him. These women were in love with him. Infidelity and jealousy drove the violence. Alcohol and Ruggs with a D drove the violence, but he is not a racketeer. Okay, this case is about his relationships with Cassie and Jane. Okay, Tina Garagos then says on bribery, this is about the Intercontinental Hotel. He paid a security guard to make the footage go away. This was solely to prevent bad publicity for Combs and for Cassie. There was no law enforcement investigation. Tina then says the civil lawyer is here today. They went to civil lawyers to make a money grab. Cassie demanded $30 million. Another asked for $22 million. How many millions of reasons do these witnesses have to lie? The evidence will not make out the charges. Okay, then see here. Okay, that's about it for right now. Okay, so I'm going to mute myself while I'm gathering more intel.
Yeah,
The first time I might do like correspondence, so, you know.
it looks like it, yeah.
How are you? How are you, sir?
I think everybody knows.
Yeah, you guys just down where you're.
Bell, I got the ill communication. That's the ill communication. That's the ill communication.
Adequately what I had so far for them. I keep doing it. No worries.
Okay, so another update. Tina Garrigo says the kidnapping related to an employee. She worked for him for 10 years. She asked to work for him again. Rug trafficking? That's a question. She has a question mark. She says rug trafficking. It was personal use. They worked hard. They were there to do something great and novel. It was a free choice. Tina then says there was no conspiracy. He was paying different men for their time and experience. Corn actors, okay, corn with a P, actors get paid. Hulkamania, cowboys for angels. You can pay money for time and experience. That is what Sean Combs was doing. What in the world's Hulkamania and cowboys for angels? Yeah, that's right, Mo. The kids have to hear all of this. Can you imagine? And then the kids are going to see that footage of that stuff, honey. I would not even want my children to know such things. Okay, it's all crazy. Okay, Sean Combs' lawyer Sean Combs' lawyer is now trying to suggest that the women accusing him of abuse may have a motive other than simply recounting the abuse. She brings up Cassandra Ventura filing a civil lawsuit and says that the singer did not report the alleged incident to law enforcement. When these people testify, ask yourself why. For many of them, the answer is money. I wonder how the jury's going to feel about that. I wonder what the jury's going to think about that. The fact that they didn't go to the police, they demanded money. Now, here's the thing. They could say they were afraid of Diddy. That's why they never called the police while they were actively in the relationships with him or whatever. But when they left, why didn't they go to the police then? When Cassie left in 2018, when she got with Alex Fine, why didn't she go to the police and report that then? She didn't do any of it. She instead filed a civil lawsuit years later on the eve of them saying that the time would run out. So I wonder just how much the jury is going to factor that in to basing their decision. Okay, Grace Miller said Cowboys and Angels. That's right. That's right. We found that out like a year ago. Thank you, beloved. I had forgotten about that. Okay, that was the name of the male escort service. Yeah, we found that online. Okay, thank you. Arbor said Cassie told the world she's a freak in the interview. She did? What? Okay, I don't remember that. Okay, okay, so looks like it's another update. Sean Combs' defense has completed their opening statement, which lasted about 50 minutes. Okay, so almost an hour for the opening statement. The judge has excused the jury 1 hour for lunch and is now discussing some details about evidence with lawyers from both sides before the trial is adjourned. Okay, so it looks like they're about to take a 1 hour lunch break. So that all being said, I anticipate that the YouTubers that are there, boots on the ground, this is when they'll probably start giving some information from what they've seen and heard inside. Okay, while they're on this hour break. Okay, so what we're going to do, since they're taking an hour break, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to come back because in an hour, this is likely when the testimonies will start. And don't forget that Cassie is also supposed to testify this evening or this afternoon sometime. So that all being said, listen, guys, I'm going to conclude the broadcast, but I will be back in about an hour or so to finish with the updates, okay? So that all being said, I love you all to life. Make sure you tune back in. Okay, we're going to be back in like an hour. Okay, so just make sure you keep your notifications on. If you don't get a notification, just come back to the channel, okay, because I'll be back. All right, love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hate